good show planned for you today. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the five drafts, basically the last 10 drafts, and compare Trent Baalke to John Lynch and, Jim Harbaugh with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. But before we do that, we'd like to remind everybody that you can subscribe on Twitch for free using Amazon Prime. So please go ahead and do that. You can also go to twitch.tv/Niner Faithful Radio to join us for all our live streams of all our shows. For the Faithful by the Faithful pre-launch sale is coming July 30th. Save 20% off of all our designs. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop for more details, or follow Niner Faithful Radio Shop on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio Shop, and on Twitter at Niner Faithful RS. Go to SeatGiant.com and use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to save on all concert, theater, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Get officially licensed Niner gear from shop49ers.com by using our affiliate link. It costs you no more, and it really helps out the show. Make sure you go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com to check out all the goodies we got there for you. And also, you can follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio, and on Twitter at Niner Faithful R. With that being said, let's go ahead and get the show started.
8 seconds to go. Third down. They only have time for two plays no matter what. So Rice goes out to the left. And if you want to take one crack, maybe he's the guy you should go for. Young almost falls down. Throws to the end zone.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We got the man with the master plan, Mr. Brian. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How you are?
I'm doing legendary as always. Like I always say, any day you wake up a 5-time champion is a good day. So we are. I spoke about this yesterday a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and also get into it today a little bit, but we have a little bit more information. Former third-round pick in 97, Greg Clark, has passed over the weekend. Of course, they're not going to – okay, there we go. It's going to let me exit out the ad. Okay, here we go. He was 49 years old. The Niners have released a statement saying, "In our organization is deeply saddened to learn the passing of Greg Clark, the 49ers. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends." The official cause of death wasn't announced, but in a statement from his family, it says, "It is with great sadness we announce the unexpected passing of Greg Clark, cherished husband, father, son, brother, friend, is related to family with achievement at Stanford. Go 49. Husband. Okay, yeah, basically it says loving husband, and that's where it cuts off. But Very sad. I was just telling Brian, who might be a little young to remember Mr. Greg Clark's career, but I definitely remember him. And everybody talks about the. Of course, you heard it right there in the intro. The '98 NFC champion or NFC wild card game against the Whackers. But Greg Clark caught 2 touchdowns in that game, and so obviously T.O.'s touchdown means the most. But without Greg Clark's 2 touchdowns, needless to say, where that game might have ended up, we are definitely sad to hear. We give you a tip of the cap, sir, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. So today, Brian and I have decided to kind of compare drafts. So we're going to go, 2011 to 2017, all the way up to 2021. So we're going to go ahead and start with the 2011 to the 2017 draft. 2011, you had a first-round pick, Aldon Smith. Second was Colin Kaepernick. Third was Chris Culliver. Fourth was Kendall Hunter. Fifth was Daniel Kilgore. Sixth was Ronald Johnson. Another sixth-round pick was Colin Jones. Seventh was Bruce Miller, Michael Peterson, and Curtis Holcomb. Compared to in 2017, you have where is it? Okay, yeah, 2017. You have Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster taken in the first round. Third round was Keller Witherspoon, C.J. Beathard. And fourth round was Joe Williams, George Kittle, Trent Taylor, and D.J. Jones in the fifth round. And Peter T. and D.J. Jones in the sixth round, and Peter T. in the sixth round, sorry. And Adrian Colbert in the seventh. Before we go any further, Brian, I'm thinking that I definitely first round picks. You're obviously going Aldon Smith, and we'll include the second as counting for the second pick. I'm taking Aldon Smith and Colin Kaepernick over Reuben Foster and Solomon Thomas. I think that's pretty clear. You're talking about what should have been a Hall of Fame talent in Aldon Smith, and look, obviously we know how the end of his career did, but for a little bit there, you thought the Niners found their franchise quarterback with Colin Kaepernick. So your thoughts about the 2017 versus 2011 draft?
I also agree with you. I mean, those two players, 2017 were just disastrous, and no one would ever thought. We're going into this thinking we got two studs that are going to be in this franchise for a really long time. And 2021, not here. And
so go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You can go.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, I fully agree with you. I mean, now, really, what got me intrigued as I'm doing more research on this draft was it was actually a pretty deep draft, and I had to do a little research 2011, but it was in March of 2010 that Scott McCloughan went ahead and took over. So 2011, you start off pretty good with that 2011 draft. I mean, Chris Culliver was a pretty solid cornerback for us. You have Kendall Hunter, who was, a pretty solid backup running back. Daniel Kilgore and Bruce Miller, who went ahead and had a career. I think that obviously it's 2011. No questions asked when you're talking about as far as the beginning of the draft. But, I'll give the depth of the draft to 2017 just because you're coming out there with George Kittle and DJ Jones versus Chris Culliver and Chris Culliver and Bruce Miller. Although, Chris Culliver did have a nice career. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to 2017. But overall, you got to go with the 2018 draft or the 2011 draft. And so I think it's funny because Niner fans, I think that I posted out the tweet a while ago, and I forget the results of the poll, but I said, who's more hated in the Niner Empire, Trent Baalke or Kyle fucking Williams? And I picked Kyle Williams just because I believe that, look, yeah, you could say Baalke destroyed the team and the team doesn't matter as much if we went ahead and won that championship in 2011. Nobody really cares what happened 2012, 2013, 2014, even 15, 16. Because, we had ended the quest for 6. So I think moving on to 2012 through 2018. Now, this is where I think that you're going to maybe start to see a little bit of the favor start to swing towards Lincecum when you have so in 2012, obviously we all know our first round pick was AJ Jenkins. Second round, you got LaMichael James. Fourth round, you got Joe Looney. Fifth round, you got Dietrich Fleming. You have Trent Robin in the 6th round. Jason Slowey in the 6th round again. And Cam Johnson versus Mike McGlinchey, Dante Pettis, Fred Warner, Javarius Moore, Kentavious Street, DJ Reed, Marcel Harris, Julian Taylor, and Richie James. Right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the 2018 draft. You literally don't have any player in 2012 that's worth anything, I think. AJ Jenkins was obviously a complete bust. And although, 2018 had its bust as far as a receiver was concerned with Dante Pettis, at least Dante Pettis showed some promise. At the end of Dante Pettis' rookie year, we all kind of thought that there might be something to Dante Pettis, and I think that's what made the fall of 2019 so hard was that you had such high expectations for Dante Pettis. Brian, your thoughts on the 2018 versus 2012 draft?
Yeah, I agree with you on there wasn't that much value on the 2012 picks. Some panned out well. I think the one who lasted a lot was LaMichael James with us. But I feel like 2018 was a pretty solid year for us.
Yeah. Most
People
definitely.
who we still have from
I agree
2018.
with you. And it's not what we should have. Obviously, Fred Warner. You got Mike McGlinchey. You got
Travarius
Moore, although he is hurt.
DJ Jones and Marcel Harris.
DJ Jones and Marcel Harris. So obviously that's a draft that's you'll see that draft start to wash out a little bit. I would love to have DJ Jones back. Maybe I think that he might be a luxury piece, and I think the team would love to have DJ Jones back, but I think he's going to be difficult to sign, although the cap is going up. And if we cut Jimmy next year or trade Jimmy, that might be where some of the money and cap savings with Jimmy might go to a player like DJ Jones. I do see Travarius Moore returning just because I don't think he'll have a high market coming off of the Achilles tear. And I think that he'll do a 1-year prove-it deal. So I think that 2018 draft you might see that this is where I believe Lynch and Hand start to show their value. Obviously, without the DJ Jones and George Kittle draft of 2017, going into 2013. Now this is ultimately this is where I think you know you start to see a little bit of trouble with Lenore, sorry, Quentin Patton, Marcus Lattimore, Quentin Dial, Nick Moody, B.J. Daniels, Carter by Balowski, and Marcus Cooper. Obviously, Eric Reed is a pretty solid pick. And look, I'll give Trent Baalke this. When you look at his first round picks of Aldon Smith, Michael James, Eric Reed, those are pretty all but AJ Jenkins. Those are pretty fucking solid first round picks right there. You know, versus you've got, so I'll give Trent Baalke his first round draft picks. But the problem is the problem was we were clearly a draft and develop football team. We weren't a football team that wanted this with Trent Baalke that wanted to spend a lot of money in free agency. You know, we maybe a player here or two, but we weren't going to build a team through free agency. And that's why ultimately I think Trent Baalke lost his job, is because, okay, if you're a draft and develop football team, you can't only hit on your first round draft picks. You have to hit on other picks within the draft. And as you saw, I mean, it's pretty much a wash for 2013 as well versus the 2019, draft. You got Nick Bosa, you got Debo, you got Jalen Hurd, you got Mitch Wishnowsky, you got Dre Greenlaw, you got Caden Smith, you got Justin School, and you got Tim Harris. Now, I'll give thought he would get it, but you got Dre Greenlaw, Mitch Wishnowsky, Debo Samuel, and Nick Bosa. Those are significant contributors to the team. Versus, what? You only got Eric Reed was the only significant, contributor to the team. Brian, I'm going to have to give it to the 2017 draft. I'm sorry, the 2019 draft. What versus 2013 versus 2019?
I would also choose 2019. I think a player that was a little bit underrated for the 2013 class.
All right, yeah,
Vance McDonald. He was a cool contributor.
Yeah, go ahead.
For a couple of years, and then obviously we traded him. But 2019 was stacked. It's just,
yeah.
I mean, even our sixth round gave us some. Our sixth rounder.
Obviously, the jury's still out. Go ahead. Well, I think what we're looking at as far as it's hard because of 2019 and even really 2018. I mean, 2018, you're starting to, I feel that you'll have an idea this year. In 2018, you'll definitely have a solid idea this year. But by the end of this year. But, 2019, the jury's still out. And so it's hard to compare a draft that is fully, none of those players are on the team, but so, yeah, but I definitely feel that 2019 you believe is going to start to get some significant. 2014, you got Jimmy Ward, Carlos Hyde, Marcus Martin, Chris Borland, Brandon Thomas, Bruce Ellington, Dante Johnson, Aaron Lynch, Keith Reeser, Kenneth Acker, Caleb Ramsey, and Trey Miller. Obviously, Jimmy Ward still on the team. Carlos Hyde, I will say, was a solid round pick. Chris Borland, I'm not going to fault Trent Baalke on that because the pick was solid. You had no reason to believe that Chris Borland would retire after 1 year. Dante Johnson, still a contributor. Aaron Lynch was a contributor for a while, and the rest were pretty much washes. And now as you compare to the 2020 draft of Javon Kinlaw, Brandon Ayuk, Colton McKivitz, Charlie Warner, and Jawan Jennings, I'm going to give it, with the jury still out, I'm going to give it to the 2020 draft. Although I like Jimmy Ward, obviously, I like Carlos Hyde, Chris Borland. I just feel when you got Javon Kinlaw, you're expecting big steps from Javon Kinlaw this year. And Brandon Ayuk, you got a superstar. And I'm looking at that 2014 draft, and all due respect to Jimmy Ward, I'm just not seeing superstar written in any of the 2014 draft. Brian, your thoughts on 2014 versus 2020?
I think this one was pretty fair. I just
Pretty close to a wash, though, but I'll give the edge. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I think I'll give the edge to the 2020 draft as well. I mean, obviously Jimmy Ward still with us. Carlos Hyde was a phenomenon player. I grew up watching him, and Chris Borland. I remember the injury with, I believe, Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis. I believe
Yes.
he stepped up. He
Yes.
did an amazing job, and it sucked. I remember hearing him retire.
You can't fault Trent Baalke on that. Like, okay, maybe you could say you could do a little bit digging into his background, but there was no reason to believe that Chris Borland retired. I mean, I think that and this is as we're transitioning into 2015 and 2016. So we're transitioning away from Harbaugh into Baalke, which really ultimately I think you could say maybe 2015 you should have started a fresh regime. But to me, you don't fault Baalke for Chris Borland retiring. And when you say, okay, Patrick Willis retires at the end of 2014, and you say, okay, well, fine, you're going to have Navarro Bowman back in 2015. You got Chris Borland to replace, Patrick Willis. In 2015, you draft Eric Armstead, you draft Jaquiski Tartt, you draft Eli Harold, Blake Bell, Mike Davis, DeAndre Smelter, who I liked coming out, Bradley Pinion, Ian Soberman, Trent Brown, and Roy Anderson. And you got Ian Williams. So I believe there was reason in 2015 to think that the Niners weren't going to be a 5-11 football team. There was reasons. Now, it became obvious pretty close as you started, as the season went on. But I was thinking that maybe, okay, you might want to clear a regime and fire Baalke after 2014. But there was reasons to keep Baalke around and think that fine, maybe not a Super Bowl caliber football team, but at least a competitive football team in 2015. Versus now you have the 2021 draft. I mean, we're not even going to get into the 2021 draft. But Jaquiski Tartt being, the main player that is, and Eric Armstead being the main two players that are on the team. Brian, your thoughts on the 2015 draft, and going into 2015, would you have fired Trent Baalke?
Due to his history, Um, I feel like they made the right choice and keep him around 1 year, but after that second year, I don't know. It was like okay, like how can are we gonna get better than we were before this guy?
Yeah, yeah,
So
okay. I agree with you on that point. It's sometimes, and that's sometimes why I think that, like, so you might be a little too young to remember, but Jeff Fisher used to be the coach for the Yams, and Jeff Fisher was going famous for going 8-8 every year with the Yams, and he was also the head coach when the Titans went to the Super Bowl in '99, and so it was. And every year you used to think the Yams would fire Jeff Fisher, but sometimes it was like, okay, well, fine, you want to fire Jeff Fisher. Well, who are you going to get that's better? And that's how sometimes I think that players, you especially see it with a lot with quarterbacks. Like, let's take Kirk Cousins, for example, who is a pretty good quarterback. He was definitely a top 10 to top 15 quarterback. I believe he had something like 35 touchdown passes last year. And I think that when you look at the Vikings, like, could you upgrade for Kirk Cousins? Yes, you definitely could upgrade from Kirk Cousins. But they stick with Kirk Cousins because sometimes it's, well, who are you going to get that's better? And so I agree with you in 2015, after that draft and everything like that, you had reasons to think that the Niners would bounce back. To me, what ultimately I think sealed Trent Baalke's fate and why, honestly, I thought maybe after 2015 was when I thought the Niners should fire him. Definitely after 2016 was this draft. I mean, you draft DeForest Buckner. Clearly, that was a slam dunk, right? I mean, drafting DeForest Buckner, slam dunk. I mean, Joshua Garnett, Will Ridman, Rashad Robinson, Ronald Blair, John Thanius, Farron Cooper, Jeff Driscoll, Kevin Taylor, Aaron Burbridge, and Prince Charles Aworu. I mean, Ronald Blair and DeForest Buckner, really, really solid players. And let's not forget, even Lynchahan believed that Rashard Robinson was going to be our starting corner in 2017. And so that 2016 draft, yeah, you got a couple players, but yet too much of a wash. And so I think ultimately the Niners did make the right decision on moving on from Trent Baalke and Chip Kelly. Ultimately, Chip Kelly, it was a joke. But Brian, your thoughts on the 2016 draft?
it looks like we definitely hit the first round.
Yeah,
He's pretty well known for the first round.
I would say even the
Um,
fifth round with Ronald Blair. That's a slam dunk. I love
yeah,
Ronald Blair in the fifth round. I'll take Ronald Blair all day, every day in the fifth round.
yeah, and after that, I mean, what is it? I mean,
Nobody. I
maybe you
mean,
could.
Rashard Robinson, you could give a maybe to, just because Lynch. It wasn't talent. It was a little bit talent, but it was more off the field and coaching. Getting along with the coaching staff issues. But if you remember, going back to 2017, when they first started brick by brick, Rashard Robinson was in the beginning of that. And so the team had high hopes for Rashard Robinson. And so ultimately, if I had to give it to you, just strictly speaking on drafts, who do you give it to? A better draft process and better draft results, John Lynch or Trent Baalke?
Um, I don't know. Something about John Lynch, just makes like me have like trust in him,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I believe he's doing such a good job. And I think the main part of it is because he was a player himself, so he understands the
hmm
player as well as the coaches. And I think that's making the it factor in the drafts and the free agency.
Well, see, this is what I love. And so I'll admit, I do believe as well, and I'm going to give it to two reasons. One is I'm not going to lie. I like to be very transparent and keep it 100 on this podcast. But I was mad when we hired John Lynch. I was pissed. I thought because okay, now we have to go back, and it's easy to say what in hindsight, but we have to go to our mentality in 2017. We had just come off of hiring Jim Tom Sula and Chip Kelly, right? And so you would think, what the hell? We're getting a broadcaster to be a GM. It seemed like it was going to be a disaster. And then you know what? I heard John Lynch speak, and I heard him talk about how he was going to surround himself with talented people who had been in the business and pretty much knew what the hell they were talking about. And I saw us hire Adam Peters. I saw us hire Martin Mayhew. People who had experience, not necessarily Mayhew had been a GM, but maybe not necessarily experienced as GM, but had been in front offices. And I said, okay, what is John Lynch doing? John Lynch is saying, hey, I'm pretty sure that I can evaluate talent. I'm pretty sure John Lynch knows what a good football player looks like. But also, I'm surrounding my people with good scouts, people who have been in the scouting, scouting field for many, many years and everything like that. And I know what I don't know, and I'm going to get better. And that leads me up to my second point is what I feel that Trent Baalke got worse with his drafts. John Lynch has gotten better. You clearly see that the process has gotten better, and it's a constant evaluation. It's not, hey, I'm the GM, get the no. It is a collective arrangement, and now we ultimately know that the way I've always heard it described and what they said in their opening press conference is John Lynch has final say over the 90-man roster, and Kyle Shanahan has final say over the 53-man roster. I believe when push comes to shove, I believe it's Kyle Shanahan has the final say. And I do believe if one of them's got to go, I do believe it'll be John Lynch before Kyle Shanahan. But I won't even put John Lynch on the hot seat this year. Now, maybe if we don't make the playoffs this year, or you're starting to see cracks in the foundation and everything like that, okay, fine. But I love John Lynch's transparency, and I love how John Lynch just came out and his mistakes, he's been honest and open about it. He said, hey, look, it was a mistake to draft Reuben Foster. It was a mistake. I thought I could fix him, and I was wrong. And that's all you want is, okay, did you everybody makes mistakes. Did you learn from them? Yes, he has. Okay, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, look at his start. I mean, in his first round, in his first year, 0 for 2. But going up, you can see that progress he's making. He's inclining every year, and that's always what you want to see in the front office, the general managers.
Yes. Improvement. That's all you ask from players, right? You would want, like somebody asked me the other day, are you more so, do you feel that Trey Lance can come in and start day one and be, superstar quarterback? And I said, no. I said, now I believe that he can come in and we can win some ball games. I believe that he has enough arm talent and the ability with his running style and having Kyle Shanahan as his coach, as I believe that we can band-aid a successful playoff season if Trey Lance had to start week 1. I said, I said, I'm okay with that. I said, I believe that Trey Lance year 5, year 6 will be better than Trey Lance even year 2 or 3. But that's what you want. I don't want Trey Lance peaking in year 1. I want Trey Lance to get better every year after year, get a little bit better. And obviously, of course, he'll eventually peak and then start a decline, as any player in the NFL does. But that's what you want your GM. I want John Lynch to be better in 2022 than he was in 2021. I mean, I don't want John Lynch's best year to be 2019. You know that was that'd be awesome in 2019, but that sucks for 2021 and going forward.
Yeah.
You know, so I completely agree with you. We are going. Oh, we have a comment. Hold on, I didn't even see that. I see that you joined the Twitter Sports League. Yeah, I guess we did. Apparently, I'll have to talk to Jason about that. I didn't know we did, unless you're talking about the group. But good to see you, M. Rich 58. We are going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. I guess we're not allowed to run 3-minute ads anymore. That's kind of weird. But okay, we shall return. All right, bro. We got about a minute. We're gonna run about 52, so we got about 18 minutes left. Oh man.
Um, is there anything else you want to talk specifically?
Um, I don't know, bro. Is there anything else you could think of?
I don't know.
Oh, you know what?
Um,
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna ask you about whether you're concerned about Fred Warner or Trey Lance's contract, and then we can go ahead and we can wrap up with that. And I think
okay.
that we should be finished by that. All right, we got about 30 seconds, bro. Um, so yeah, I mean, short answer, I'm not concerned at all. I believe that Trey Lance will be, will be signed, and I'm not concerned about Fred Warner. But we got about 15 seconds. Um, 2, 1. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. All right, you know what? Let's go ahead and run one more minute ad, and we'll return. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and run one more.
All right.
Um,
Sure. I think I'm gonna get a glass of water real quick.
yeah, do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
All right. Sure.
Oh, okay. I guess we're not allowed to run another ad for another like 6 minutes or something like that. All right. So we'll go ahead and get so y'all don't have to see that. We'll get Brian off the screen real quick. But yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about whether we think it is a concern that Trey Lance's contract isn't signed. Um, I have absolutely no concern about it what excuse me whatsoever. Absolutely zilch. Not a concern with the Ricky Wade scale. I mean, all they're doing is opt out language and things like that, and that should work itself out pretty quick. Brian, I was just telling them, the listeners, sir, Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, or no, it's Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, and Avery Thomas are not signed. Are you concerned?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, if I know they're young, so they're not gonna make any dumb moves like opt out, hold out. So I believe it has to be done before preseason, obviously. But I believe everything's under control. They're just trying to fight the right number, but I don't think there's something to be worried about or something.
Yeah, no, I have absolutely no concern. I mean, really, what they're negotiating is opt out language. And how much the Niners would still have to pay if by any chance Aaron one of those you have a Reuben Foster situation. where something crazy happens. Now, I think that John Lynch, has learned his lesson. I would like to think so. So I don't think any of those situations are going to happen. Um, but I do believe that it'll all get done. I mean, the franchise really hasn't had too many holdouts that I remember. Michael Crabtree is obviously the biggest one, but that was before the rookie wage scale in 2011. I believe Solomon Thomas, I believe it was the first day of camp. I believe it was either the first day of camp where you got your measurements and all that, or it was the actual first day of practice. But I remember he literally signed his contract in his Pat went to run out to join his teammates for practice, and so I think that now on Matt Mayoko's podcast, they had mentioned that there's 6 top first round draft picks not signed. Agents. And it was 4 of the 6 are represented by the same sports agency, which is CAA Sports. They got Trey Lance. Oh, he's the number 1 client. Patrick Collins is. Oh wow, he has multiple. But CAA is their agency that represents him, and so I think that has. I don't think that's a coincidence that if you're talking about 4 of the top 6 picks that remain unsigned are all from the same agency. We went ahead and we lost Brian. Hopefully we'll get him back. But if 4 of the 6 players are all that are not signed are represented by the same agency, I don't really point that to the Niners. I think that that's an agency issue. I'm not mistaken that I believe the Niners have had difficulty with that agency before. And so I think it's more of that. You know what? Let me go ahead and see if we can get Brian back. We're going to go ahead and run a break real quick, and we'll be right back. Oh, we got 54 seconds left. Let me see. 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35. Oh, computer overheated, he believes. All right. We'll go ahead and we're going to run a break real quick and see if you can get on, bro. And if not, we'll probably go ahead and end it. 18, 16. Yeah, see if you can get it up. We'll run a break. And if we can't get it up, then we'll go ahead and we'll fix that. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. You're muted, bro. Okay, there we go. We got you. All right, good. We got you.
My bad, bro.
No, it's all good. We're in the middle of an ad right now. I decided to run an ad, and I was like, all right, if he doesn't return, we'll just go ahead and end the show. But you went ahead and you returned. We got about 40 seconds left on the ad. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump in after the ad, and we'll only have about 6 minutes left. We're only going to do about 52 minutes, and we'll be right on time with our hours that we have to do. So we'll be good. Also, well, I might talk to you after the show. Okay, 25 seconds. I I want you to start thinking about joining us full time. You can still do Niner, your own shit and everything like that, but probably sometime in August with Jamie leaving, we do need to find a person to replace her as our post game show. Well, the commercial's ending. I'll talk to you about it after the show. Anyway, so like I was telling the audience, why we were the listeners, why we were having those technical issues. I don't think it's a coincidence if you say six top picks in the draft are unsigned. At least 6 first-round picks are unsigned, and 4 of them are all represented by the same agency. I don't think that's a Niner problem. I think that's the agency playing hardball. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I also believe that it's not a coincidence, like you said. But I also think it's gonna happen pretty soon because, I mean, why should it take this long? But definitely don't agree that something major will happen when there's a contract dispute. But
yeah. Plus, I mean, players are penalized a lot more for holding out camp in the new CBA. And so, really, what does Trey Lance have to gain? And honestly, I think that, and there might be some people that say, "Oh, Trey Lance is greedy. He might," I bet you Trey Lance is sitting there like, "Hey, look, I just want to get the deal signed, go out there with my teammates, and play some football." Really, what you have to really imagine a lot is that the agency wants to look good for its players. They want to be able, when next draft class comes along, they want to say, "Hey, look, we got Trey Lance, da type of bonus, and we stick up for our clients, and we're going to get you the most money." And so a lot of times, it's not even necessarily a player to organization issue. It's that the agency wants to play hardball. The agency obviously wants to do what's best for their client. That's their job. But I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping it up here. Brian, one last question. Where can we follow you on the beast that is Instagram?
Well, actually, I'm thinking about switching my accounts. I'm not too sure about it still, but I'm having a blast doing this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been
All
thinking about it a lot. But y'all can go ahead and follow Niners Faithful Radio on Instagram.
Hey! All right, definitely. Well, stick around, bro, because there is a couple things I would like to talk to you about off air. And as soon as I end the podcast, I'll go ahead and bring you back on. We won't be live, but we'll be able to holler at each other. All right, everybody. Well, we like to thank Brian for that and everything like that. So before we get out of here, we'd like to remind everybody to go to twitch.tv/Niner Faithful Radio to join us for the live streams of all our shows, and also to subscribe using Amazon Prime for free to your favorite Twitch channel, Niner Faithful Radio. For the Faithful by the Faithful pre-launch sale is coming July 20th. Save 20% off of all our designs. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop for more details, or follow Niner Faithful Radio Shop on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Niner Faithful Radio Shop, and on Twitter at Niner Faithful RS. Go to SeatGiant.com and use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio, all one word, to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Get your officially licensed Niner gear from shop49ers.com by using our affiliate link. It costs you no more, and it really does help out the show. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com to check out all our previous episodes of all our shows, and follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful, and Tumblr. We are now on Tumblr at Niner Faithful Radio and on Twitter at Niner Faithful RS. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for today's show. We'd like to remind y'all to tune in to Niner Faithful Radio, where Jason and I are breaking down tight ends tomorrow. Till then, we're going to say faith. For Super Duper Moderator Kim, Jimmy, Jason, Nate, Brian, and Jamie, we'd like to thank you, and myself, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. We shall see y'all next week. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
Now, 8 seconds to go. Third down. They only have time for 2 plays no matter what. So Rice goes out to the left. And if you want to take one crack, maybe he's the guy you should go for. Young almost falls down. Throws to the end zone.
And ladies and gentlemen, we shall see ya.